It can be so frustrating to sit down at your desk and your office chair sink all the way down. Today, I'm going to show you 3 easy ways to fix your sinking office chair. Before I dive into the details of each method, I'm going to do a quick overview of each one. Method 1, hose clamp and duct tape. This is considered the cheap, ugly, not adjustable, and temporary option. Method 2, plastic spacer or PVC pipe. This method is also cheap, slightly less ugly, and also not adjustable. Method 3, replace your chair cylinder entirely. Basically just swap out the sinking chair cylinder with a brand new one. It's a little bit more expensive, around $30, but it looks professional, it's a permanent fix, and it's fully adjustable. This would be our recommendation if you want a long-term fix. And it's a pretty easy do-it-yourself project. You can get a full cylinder replacement kit online. Just check the link in the description below. All right, so if you're still here, that probably means you want a little bit more detail. Method 1, the hose clamp and duct tape method. I'll first start off by saying this is a cheap and ugly way to fix your sinking chair, but it can get the job done. This method doesn't actually repair the office chair, but it can stop your chair from temporarily sinking. Okay, so first you'll want to raise your chair up to the desired height that you would like to sit at. Now the chair may not simply lift when you pull the lever, so you might have to pull the lever and pull up on the chair at the same time. It's important to do this right the first time because once you set it, it's really hard to adjust it after the fact. Okay, now that the chair is at the correct height, you're going to want to wipe down with an old rag or a paper towel the area where you're going to put the duct tape and hose clamp. Next, you'll take your duct tape, about maybe a 6 to 8 inch piece, and wrap it around the cylinder near the thicker part of the cylinder. And a few wraps will be okay. This is actually just going to help the hose clamp grip the cylinder better. Okay, next you'll take your hose clamp and you'll loosen it all the way so that it's actually separated and wrap it around the cylinder. Once it's fully wrapped around the cylinder, you're going to take a flat blade screwdriver and tighten it so that way it forms a circle. Before you really tighten up the hose clamp, make sure it's sitting all the way at the bottom to where the actual cylinder goes into the thicker part of the outer column. Once it's at the bottom of this cylinder, tighten it up as much as you can. This is actually what's going to keep the chair from sinking when you sit in it, so you'll want this really tight. And there you go. The hose clamp should stop your chair from sinking. But remember, this is just temporary and may not last in the long term. You may find that it slowly becomes loosened and the chair starts sinking again. In that case, you can just do the same steps over again. Okay, method 2, the PVC Spacer Method. This method is definitely more permanent than the hose clamp, but it still isn't adjustable or all that professional looking. However, it will definitely stop your chair from sinking. Similar to before, the first thing you'll want to do is raise your chair up to the desired height that you would like to sit at. And again, the chair may not simply lift when you pull the lever, so you may have to pull up on the chair a little bit and the lever at the same time. This is important to do right the first time because once you set it, in this case, you can adjust it. Now, once the chair is at the desired height, you'll need to measure the distance between the cylinder column and the chair seat. So for my example, this distance is around 3.5 inches. Your next step is to get a spacer or PVC pipe that is the same distance that you just measured. Again, in my example, it's 3.5 inches. Once you have your PVC spacer to the correct length, the next step is removing the cylinder column so you can slip on the spacer. To remove the cylinder column, the first thing you'll need to do is take the chair and lay it on its side. Next, you'll take a flat blade screwdriver and remove the clip that sits on the bottom of the cylinder. Then after that, you'll remove the little washer that sits on the end as well. And once both those are taken off, you can simply grab the chair base and cylinder column and pull straight out. Now, once you have the bottom part of the chair removed, you'll simply take your PVC pipe or spacer and slide it onto the cylinder like so. Then before putting the cylinder column and base back onto the chair, just double check that any of the parts didn't fall in when you were pulling it out. In this case, the bearing actually fell out in my case. And this is what the bearing looks like. So you just want to make sure that a bearing or washer, if it falls out, just to put it right back on to the end of the cylinder before sliding it back on. So then you'll take the cylinder column and chair base and slide it right back on. And finally, you'll take the washer and put it back where it was. And lastly, you'll take the retaining clip and slide that back on to the end of the cylinder. And then finally, you can take your chair and flip it back onto the ground and test it out. And basically what you'll see is that the PVC pipe or spacer will take the weight and make sure that the chair doesn't sink any longer. Okay, method 3, replacing your chair cylinder with a brand new one. This is considered the best way to fix your sinking office chair. I'll go through the steps rather quickly, but if you want even more details, you can go to our other video titled The New Way to Remove and Replace an Office Chair Cylinder. Step 1, lay your chair on its side, then using a flat blade screwdriver, remove the retaining clip from the bottom of your old cylinder, then also remove the washer. Next, simply grab the chair base and pull straight out. This will remove the cylinder column. Okay, this next step uses a special chair cylinder removal tool by the Office Oasis. You'll want to take the first shaft collar and place it around the chair cylinder piston. Then, using the Allen wrench, start tightening the screws so that the shaft collar fits around the cylinder. However, only tighten these screws so that the shaft collar is loose enough to slide up and down the cylinder. Once the first shaft collar is on the cylinder piston, you'll take the second shaft collar and place that around the cylinder. And similar to before, you will slowly start tightening the screws to wrap it around the cylinder. This second shaft collar you'll want to place right next to the first shaft collar. So the first shaft collar was loose, but this second shaft collar you'll want to tighten down as much as possible. The tighter it is, the better grip it will have when trying to release the cylinder. Then you'll take what I call the extraction screws and using your Allen wrench, slowly start tightening those screws. Eventually those screws will hit the first shaft collar and it'll be harder to turn the Allen wrench. Flip the Allen wrench and start tightening these as much as possible, and you can see the cylinder start to slightly move. And keep tightening them as much as you can, and eventually the cylinder will pop out. And just like that, the cylinder came out using the shaft collars. Okay, now you'll have to remove the chair cylinder column from the chair base. After doing quite a few of these, I've found that the easiest way to do it is just grab something like a trash can and a hammer. Take the chair base and cylinder column and flip it over so it sits on the trash can just like so. Then you'll grab the hammer with one hand and the chair base with the other, and you'll strike the bottom of the cylinder column. And there we go. It took me about 4 hits and the cylinder came out. You'll want to grab your brand new cylinder, and sometimes I like to test it out. And so all you have to do is just press the little button on top, and if it extends, that means it works properly. So take this new cylinder and place one end in the office chair, and grab the chair base and slide it on to the bottom of the office chair cylinder. And that's it. You can flip your chair over and test out the new cylinder. Your office chair will have full lift and adjustability, and it'll feel like a brand new chair. Again, if you're interested in the cylinder replacement kit in this video, please check out the link in the description below.